education.
What I got to say about how to eat the liver.
Assalamu alaikum, family, peace, healing, and light, and welcome back to another episode of Healing with Angelica's podcast, where we discuss all things healing. And if you are new to the show, welcome, beautiful souls. On today's episode, we have an amazing guest joining us today, Sister Audrey Muhammad, as we'll be discussing today's topic: Mothers of Civilization, the Great Value of the Woman. Sister Audrey, welcome, and thank you so much for joining us today. How are you?
Assalamu alaikum. I'm doing well, and thank you so much, Sister Angelica, for having me. It is an honor. I admire your work and the wonderful conversations you've been having with a number of people, bringing the teachings to the people, and using social media and these platforms in the way that it should be used to have high-level conversations. So I just want to commend you on that.
Oh my God, praise be to Allah. Thank you so much for that. I truly appreciate that, Sister Audrey. Yes. Oh my God, yes, it's awesome. So welcome again. And for my viewing audience, who may not know who you are, do you mind letting our audience know just a little bit more about you?
Yes, ma'am. So I'm an educator and also a fitness instructor. I've been an educator for the past over 25 years. So I started off as a high school teacher and always loved to write ever since I was little, writing poetry, writing articles for the high school newspaper, college, that type of thing. And then I started teaching writing, composition on the college level, and that's what I presently do. But I also wanted to use my writing skills for the nation and developing Virtue magazine. Actually, before Virtue, I started writing for the Final Call, the Get Fit to Live column, just coupling get exercise with eating to live. And the minister actually years ago wrote me a letter and said that I asked him about the column, what he thought about the column, and he says, well, it does complement the Messenger's column, and to, continue doing that. And he also, with Virtue magazine, he said it's a powerful tool to uplift women. So I just, like you, I want to help and heal and uplift women and kind of showcase how valuable we are. So that's been my journey and purpose.
Oh, wow. Oh, my God. I love that so much. Praise be to Allah. Give me a moment. You guys said you can't hear? You may have to come back in and come out, Brother Gerald. But thank you for joining us. All right. Thank you so much for that, Sister Audrey. I love that. Okay, we're on this journey of healing together in any way, shape, or form. We want to strive to do that. So now let's get started on today's episode, Mothers of Civilization, the Great Value of the Woman. And please, for my audience today, do not hesitate to put any questions you may have for our guests in the comment section below. So in a world that often tries to minimize or misunderstand our worth, today we reclaim the truth of who we are and the divine role we create to fulfill. We're diving into the great value of the woman, not just in words, but through wisdom, legacy, and truth that affirms our power, purpose, and place in nation building. I'm so honored again to be joined by the beautiful, beautiful sister Audrey Muhammad as we'll be touching into this subject today. Again, she is a writer, educator, and powerful voice in our community who continues to shine light on the strength and brilliance of women in the nation and beyond. So that brings me to my first question for you, Sister Audrey. Again, thank you for being here. If you don't mind just sharing, what was your inspiration of you creating Mothers of Civilization Day?
Yes, ma'am. When we think about, just as you said, about Black women and how often we're treated and how we are viewed. And every year, of course, Mother's Day comes up and sisters say, oh, this, we're really not, oh, Mother's Day is every day, and we're really not honored the way we should be. And there was something from the minister where he said, and this is from, it's in all of the anniversary books. He said, what does it mean to be a mother of civilization? What does it mean to be a mother of civilization? This is from a lecture titled Miriam, the Role Model for Women. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said, do you know what that means, mothers of civilization? He then answers by stating, if civilization is one having knowledge, wisdom, understanding, culture, refinement, the pursuit of happiness, and is not savage, you are the mother of that. Whatever knowledge is in the world, you give it. Whatever wisdom and understanding is in the world, you shape your children according to what you know and what you understand. You are the one that passes on the culture of the people, the refinement of a nation. It is all in your hands. So if you are the mother of civilization, if you are made right, then everything that you touch will be made as you are. So this was something that was shared a few years ago where I saw it in the Vanguard booklet. And for us to understand our value, where we're so often you see us stripped out in the public as if, we're on the auction blocks. And it really comes from not knowing who we really are. That we, when you think about even in the motherland, the king, the idea of king and queen and royalty and all of those things. But even before then, if you go to Proverbs chapter 8, verse 21, and read that all the way down to 30, verse 30, you'll see it talks about I was there with God. I was there in the beginning, before the mountains, before the streams, so on and so forth. And I was daily God's delight. Sounds like a sister talking to me. Okay. So I wanted to have a day that honored us as women. And the day November 24th came about. When you look up the significance of that day, November 24th, and it's like right before Thanksgiving Day. November 24th was the day that they found the oldest bones of today's date of a Black woman. They called the bones Lucy. Okay. And so I was like, isn't that interesting? They found the bones in, I think it was a part in Ethiopia. And so this way, it's a teaching tool because anybody can look it up. What happened on November 24th, 1974, that the oldest bones of a Black woman were found. We don't have any, so you have Jane Elliott, who's a well-known educator, talking about that. We need to understand that everyone came from a Black woman. So you have this educator talking about it, but we need more of us talking about who we are. And I think the more of us who know who we are, our actions would be a little different.
Oh my gosh, I love that. I actually just did and I didn't know that. I actually just came for a women's empowerment brunch, and the lady that was there that was speaking, she actually spoke about the oldest bones that they found, um,
Mm-hmm.
Ethiopian lady, and
Mm-hmm.
traces back of like just who we are and our importance, right?
Mm-hmm.
And me saying that, I really think about even just within myself, I'm still young, but I think about the younger generation of women who really don't even know who they
Mm.
are and
Yeah.
their identity, or why they have to understand that they are the mothers of civilization. Get into my next question. I just want to ask you, like, what would be something that you will want more of the younger women to understand when it comes to them being a part of that mother of civilization?
Yes, ma'am. Excellent question. That our greatest asset of one is that we're from God. That's at the root. That we're from the most powerful being ever, and that's part of us, and what we're able to create with our mind and just leading with our body, you know is we got everything all backwards. That you don't even see the person's face, you just see the butt first, and the face is like, an afterthought. Oh, let me turn and show my face too. So I think for the younger generation, wanting them to see their value and how intelligent they are, how they have the ability to create the life that they want and the image that they want. Because that's one of the reasons why I started Virtue, because I remember the minister saying, if you don't like the images that you see,
Mm.
then change it. And then not waiting for anyone else to um change it. Because I remember years ago, this was in 1997, that Essence Magazine had a beautiful layout of different sisters from the nation in the magazine. Mother Tynetta was in there, Sister Charlene, who's a former national captain, as well as Dr. Ava. Beautiful pictures of us. And I remember thinking back then, oh, wouldn't it be wonderful to have one of us on the cover? And I kept waiting and waiting, just knew that maybe they would put Dr. Ava on the cover. But having that idea, and then I wanted an alternative um, for my daughter, for her to see other images, because we saw all the images that were put out there. So I think that was something that was important to do. So that kind of motivated me also.
I love that. And you just spoke on like your daughter seeing a different imagery
Mm-hmm.
and understanding how important it is. And I can say, like, me coming into the nation by the grace of Allah, 2.5 years in. And
Okay.
um it wasn't until I was introduced to the nation and I actually seen something different. I've never seen women like this before. And
Mm-hmm.
it was actually like empowering, and then of course when the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan speaks about the divine value of the woman, that within itself made me understand my
Mm-hmm.
worth value. So again, going back to, if the women was to actually know thyself, going back to self and
Mm-hmm.
knowing who they are, knowing their mother of civilization,
Mm-hmm.
their perception of who they are would change, which will
Yeah.
also change that imagery, that
Mm-hmm.
picture of who they are. So
Mm-hmm.
I love that. Praise be to Allah. I want to get into just what does the phrase for you, what is the phrase mother of civilization? What does that mean to you personally?
Mm-hmm. Well, it goes back again to what the minister said, because we weren't even taught that language. We weren't even taught that thought. So I have to go back to what it means in terms of, if we're the mothers of civilization, we're the second self of God. There is a tremendous responsibility on us. We know the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that a nation can rise no higher than its woman. And of course, when you teach a woman, you're teaching a nation, you teach a man, you teach an individual. But what does that mean? Not just to throw out a whole bunch of just slogans or phrases and things like that. When you think about the impact of a woman also is teaching the children, male and female. So there's an impact there. Then the woman is going out into the community, and she's a reflection of her home and also her community. There's impact there. The energy that we bring. So when we talk about civilization and refinement, who teaches that? Your mother teaches you how to sit at the table, how what what utensils to use, so how to dress and so on and so forth. So when I see, especially when I was teaching the high school, I would maybe pull a young lady aside and, make sure you have a slip on. What is that? So that your, everyone doesn't see everything. Like, there's so many things that we are charged with. And even if they weren't taught by their mother, the aunties, we the aunties, right? And we're pull someone's, as they say, the coattail, pull someone's headpiece on what to do. And we have to, it takes a village, and we have to get back to that, where we're pulling someone aside. That's really, not the best way. And I've had to do that with students, and they're like, thank you for that. Because I said, you're such a beautiful and intelligent young lady. I don't want you being misperceived, And so I think that mother of civilization, that role is not about us, how many children we have. It's about us taking care of ourselves. Okay. And that's one aspect of mother of civilization. How can we teach and impart good knowledge if we're not taking care of ourselves? So the day also is not only a day of honor for Black and Indigenous women, but it's also a day of self-care.
I love that. I love that. Woo. It goes deep, and you took the words out of my mouth. I was going to say, it goes back to that saying, it takes a village, right? So especially for, I always get into like the younger generation, right? If we go back that mindset and just coming together and as women and sharing our light and showing each other how much we are important and our value, how that becomes like a ripple effect.
Yes.
So that's, oh yes.
And
So
it helps. I was just going to say, and it helps. It's a blessing having platforms like this, and I'm not sure your idea for this, but just like we could turn on the television, and I remember Dr. Ava, may Allah be pleased with her, years ago saying, all we need is an hour of Farrakhan every week, but being able to turn on our computer or look at our phone and being able to tune into a show like yours, isn't that, that's a blessing, or other people, the Closing the Gap podcast, and other people who have podcasts that are interviewing people. And we're now at a level where you have Cam Newton interviewing student minister Audrey Muhammad, and people more and more. We have to move at a faster pace and getting the message out there. And that's why I say that's what I love about your platform, is that you're helping to get that message out.
Praise be alive. Thank you so much for that. And that's honestly, like, when I go back and think about like Healing with Angelica, my podcast, it just goes back to how I've been I've been raised up into this newfound being, and all praises be to Allah for the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and what I've learned and what I've cultivated from that. Of course, having our teacher, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, actually fashioned me in that area. So I knew that, you know, I wanted to be able to share what others been going through their healing journey, and also bring a newfound light. Because, you know, we turn on, I honestly don't watch TV, honestly. We have the internet, we have YouTube, different things on social media that's kind of like, and YouTube that is like not productive
Yeah.
mentally, right? So to hear interviews like this and others who are doing the same as me is very insightful and enlightening. So I love. I'll just say, like, at this time, it's a big paradigm shift going on right now. Our people are wanting to hear this. Like, there's so
Yeah.
much world. So
Mm-hmm.
praise be to Allah.
Yes,
Let me see.
ma'am.
Yes, yes, yes. So I see we have a question here from Brother Tony Muhammad. He has a long question. Assalamu alaikum. The 3.2 million skeleton remains of our ancestor was referred to as, I may say it wrong, Dignishi, by the Black Ethiopian archaeologist who worked with Dr. Donald Johnson before he actually named her Lucy, named after a beatless song. She in the Ethiopian language means she is beautiful. Why is this fact important in understanding the idea of Mother of Civilization Day?
Yes, ma'am. Well, I would go back to just in terms of the day and recognizing who we are, and that with that we were the first woman on the planet, and how many people don't know that, and how many people dismiss Black women, even though we're the ones that they would go to help raise their children and to heal, and things of that nature. But it just goes for us to understand that we were the first, and to not look at the European woman as the standard of beauty, the standard of civilization, or the standard of class, so on and so forth, that all of those things came from us, So I think that understanding, the history part of it, understanding, Adam and Eve, of course, were not Caucasian, so all of those things, I would say that's understanding that fact alone will help us have more respect for ourselves, and for other people to have respect for us. But most important, us having respect for ourselves, because it's almost like, think about your family, or you not knowing about your family, you finding out that your father was a rich, well respected, or your mother was a well respected, rich, so on, and then that makes you stand up a little, a little straighter, because because when you think about, we have been given we have $1 million history. I'll put it this way, okay, for an analogy. We have $1 million history, and we've been given a $400 history. What do I mean by that? When you go to the bank, your parents left you $1 million, and they give you a check for $400. Wait a minute. You just gave me $400? No, they left me $1 million. I can't even pay rent with $400. But think about the history that we have been given. We have been given a $400 history, the same $400 every year. One day you were in Africa, next day you on a slave ship, then you on a plantation, and Martin had a dream. That's it. That's the history. And so, and it's a very cheap, minimal of the vast history that we have. So the fact of understanding about the skeleton remains from millions of years ago, that's why it's important. That's why we need to understand that history, because right now, I remember the first time I asked students that to take out the African literature book underneath their seats that they had been stuffed in a book closet nobody was using. And the first thing a student said was, I don't want to read about that African stuff or that Black stuff. So in their mind, it was going to be negative. They didn't want to hear about slavery. And so when we opened the book and the very first page had the beginning of writing, because one student was like, this is not a history class, this is a writing class. I said, well, you can't understand writing unless you understand history. Every single author we read about, Edgar Allan Poe or this person, you learn about the history of that person first before you even start reading their stories. And so for them to turn to the first page and see the beginnings of writing in Egypt and the hieroglyphics, and for them to see the pictures of these Egyptians, brown skin with hair, you can see the etchings of the braids or the locks that they had. I said, we created writing. That's why I wanted to show you this. We're not talking about slavery. Okay. We're talking about the beginning. That totally changed their viewpoint of themselves, of even the word Africa. Okay. So that is something that we need more of. And my students really continue to do well just from that mindset shift.
Mindset shift. That is so important. And even thinking about that, that makes me think about just also we have been made to hate ourselves. Self-hate. And
yes.
The youth or the younger generation hear about our history. We think about slavery. I don't want to, that, so it stops us from actually going in deeper to actually know who we are. So I love so much for bringing it. It's important. So important. My heart is really with the youth, because we know that they are the ones that's going to bring in a liberation for us. So I love that. Love that. Yes.
And I will say this also in terms of, and I understand how it's, anytime you think about something Black, because slavery is like the first thing here that we're taught, right? But when I'm talking to an African student, I still remember when I was so excited about President Obama, right? And for him, he was like, we've always had Black presidents where I'm from. So it wasn't a big deal because he's from Africa. So he's used to seeing that. So again, there was another mindset shift. I was like, oh, okay, they've always seen Black people in charge. He grew up seeing that. And the importance of us teaching history beyond slavery is so important, because it's almost like a secondary trauma. They don't want to keep hearing about it. Can we need to know it, but we as adults have to make sure that we understand our history. Going back to Brother Tony's point, that we understand that we're the mothers of civilization, because if we don't know that, how can we teach it to our children? How can we uplift our, not only the sisters? So if we're the mothers of civilization, then who are the fathers of civilization? How valuable is the man who is securing and protecting not only the woman, but also the community? So it's a wonderful balance there, and the value of us going beyond that, going back to the root. And that's why I gave Proverbs. Go read Proverbs chapter 8 from verse 21 through 30. And who do you think is talking there?
I wrote that down. Proverbs 8:21-30.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it starts off with, the Lord possessed me from the beginning of his way.
There we go.
Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am.
Praise be to Allah. Listen, you guys, if you guys are enjoying this episode just as well as I am, please, please, please show your support today by texting the word donate to 937-313-2466. All donations will be towards the continuation of Healing with Angelica's podcast and the building of Healing with Angelica Community Healing Center. I love you all. Now let's get back to today's episode, Mother of Civilization, the great value of the woman, with our beautiful sister, Audrey Muhammad. All right. So this within itself has so much, I want to say, meat. I don't eat meat,
Mm-hmm.
but in this, talk
Mm-hmm.
about all day. I really wanted to go ahead and get into just, I want to get into the mindset and wellness. You talked
Mm-hmm.
about the column that you have in the Final Call newspaper. And I just want to know, like, your column, Get Fit to Live, is so powerful. I love it. How do you encourage women to stay mentally and spiritually fit in a world that constantly pulls on us?
Yes, yes. And it's so, again, and it's not even about being a size 2, because I think I was a size 2 when I was 2, so it's not even about that, but it's about being healthy and being empowered to move our body. I'm seeing, even as I'm a caretaker to my father, and he's never had a weight problem, so the weight is not an issue. But it's about us being able, whether we're skinny or whether we're a little bit heavier. Can I move? Am I feeling good? I like how student minister Brother Nuri says everything feels a lot better when you're healthy, So if you're on a vacation and you sick and you hurt your leg, you can't enjoy much, right? So it's always good to be healthy and to feel good. As we know, the minister would always put at the end of, or at the beginning of a letter, I pray this letter finds you in the best of health and spirit. That's how valuable that is. So in this world, we have to look at the importance of us being empowered to change our state, our health, and make sure that we're eating the best of foods, as it says in How to Eat to Live. So if you don't have that book, make sure you go to Final Call store.com to get How to Eat to Live. Get books 1 and 2. It tells you step by step what are the best foods to eat, and then making sure we include some type of exercise program with us, that we want to be able to get up. And if, our knees aren't bothering us, and so on and so forth, because having that type of pain is not good, And I was following, there was a podcast, there was a doctor talking about, what was she? I'm trying to think of what type of doctor, but she talked about the importance of lifting weights, which is something I've been focusing more on with my Sunday workouts, because the more you lift weights, it does strengthen your bones. It helps and it helps with your cognitive function. It helps to relieve depression, uplift your spirit just from lifting weights. So if I can walk and I can jog, that's fine. But also adding that weight element, that resistance training part, that does help to shape your body, does help to strengthen your body, so that if you do fall, you're less likely to break your bones, because they said that if you break your bones, and like I said, my father has always worked out ever since, he was in the army and everything, and hasn't broken anything, all praise due to Allah, from some falls that he has had because of that physical fitness aspect of it. And just understanding how important it is, how if we're not exercising is a free way to help prevent so many diseases. Ooh. Whether it's high blood pressure, whether it's diabetes. If we just incorporated that along with eating to live, think about, we'll be unstoppable if you couple the two, right? Does that make sense? So we definitely have to eat to live, but I need to be able to also move and get up, so yes, ma'am. I would say to look at it not just for the physical of how I want to look, but I want to also be healthy internally, as well as being able to move when I want to.
Absolutely. I definitely can attest to that. I just turned 30, so that don't mean I'm old or nothing. I can tell just how when I was younger, and definitely before having a child, how much energized I was, right? And I definitely just believe that you can maintain that same type of energy, just have to be able to keep up with the exercising and of course to live. But just I don't know if you wouldn't mind speaking on this. This is just something that popped up in my mind, because I do a lot of like, I guess, desk work, so sitting down. So I'm starting to see and understand why it's really not good to be sedentary. Like,
yes,
I'm just speaking just a little bit, just why it's not like we shouldn't be sedentary, and why it's so important to move, even if it's just dancing or little yoga.
Yes, ma'am. No, that's an excellent question, an excellent point, because I saw even pounds coming on when I had switched jobs and was only teaching one class, and I was primarily an academic advisor. And so I'm just sitting, waiting for students to come in. And I remember going to someone else's office who did transcripts, and she had a standing desk. And I said, that's why you're so skinny, because I noticed in the office that I was in, everybody had a gut. And I was like, oh, I do not want. So I asked her, where did she get her desk? Then I went to the warehouse where I could get it was an old nursing desk, so I could put my computer up there. So when students came in, I was standing looking at the computer. If I needed to go to the restroom or something like that, I would either go upstairs or downstairs just to keep moving, because the restroom was right outside the office in that particular building. So instead, I would go either up the stairs, go down the hall, go up the stairs, just to get some movement in, because we don't realize that is a silent killer. That if you're sedentary, we're not meant to be sedentary, and just from, yes, definitely. Someone said, keep moving. We have to keep moving. That, and I saw this with my father, just 1 week in the hospital where you're not moving. No, it was more than 1 week. It was like 2 weeks in the hospital where you're not moving. We're limiting circulation in our limbs because we're sitting down. Everything kind of stops right there, you know. And at one point, I was doing exercises showing sisters how if you're sitting, you can do leg lifts. You know, they talk about that even on the plane, you know, or even if I call it pumping the brakes. If you're sitting and you can't get up, at least do pumping your toes, pumping the brakes, just so that there's some circulation going on. Especially if you have issues like diabetes and high blood pressure. But we have to keep moving. I have never used the elevator at my new building. You know, I always go up those 3 flight of stairs. As long as I can keep moving, I'm going to keep moving. You know, parking, walking, all of those things are important because once you can't do it, you're going to wish you were able to do it. So we have to keep moving. I agree with the sister. Wa alaikum salam.
Yes, assalamu alaikum, sister Andrea.
Mhm.
Yes, keep moving. They say what? You don't move, you lose it.
Is it? Mm-hmm.
Something like
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And once you get started, I know sometimes it's hard. And it was interesting. A physical therapist who came to work with my father, it's like he didn't want to get moving. He was making excuses. And he said, well, I told him I needed to move the pillow and he to scoot over. He said, once you get started, you know, just go downstairs, just walk outside. We'll say I'm going to walk 10 minutes because once you get started, you feel better. Exercise does release positive endorphins. You start, your mood is uplifted. So if you walk for 10 minutes that way, you got to walk back. There's your 20-minute walk. If you walk 15 minutes that way and then walk back, say, I'm going to walk for 15 minutes. Okay, now I'm going home. Your 30 minutes of walking right there.
oh, there you go.
And if you're at, like you said, sitting, I keep, even in my office here, I keep equipment where I have a band I can put around my legs. That after an hour of grading, I'm getting up and I'm doing some type of movement, and then I'll sit back down. So if I know I'm going to a conference or I'm going to be in a class sitting, I'm going to do some type of resistance training before I go, because that way my muscles are still working and recovering while I'm sitting there. So that's something that I talk about on Sundays with my workout.
And I love that. If you guys have not checked out my sister's workout, and how can people get on that? Do you have like a Zoom link or?
So we have the V Club. You can join via the V Club, and the V Club allows you to see all of the Virtue Live shows, and then also to get the workouts or any of the classes that I have. So if they go to virtuetodaymag.com and join the V Club, they can get that link. And then also I had periodically I'll have ones where it's, you know, we all just join for a line dancing. I had one recently with Sister Lorraine, who did a wonderful boots on the ground line dancing. So I'll do periodically some of those things. But joining the V Club, you'll have access to all that workout sent to you. And everything is based on how to eat to live. You get a free meal plan, just some suggestions on, because we think that, okay, I'm eating one meal. I got some macaroni and cheese, some fried fish, some green beans, and some mashed potatoes. And this one meal, I'm not eating any pork, but it's hardly any fiber in there. You're getting a lot of starch, you know. So there's so many other elements that we need to look at when we look at our diet, because even the minister in his lecture, God's Healing Power, he said you can gain weight off of one meal a day. If you're sedentary, if you're sitting around a lot, your metabolism slows down. If we're not building muscle, you know, our metabolism starts to slow down because we're not being as active. Your body starts saying, oh, I don't need to do I don't need to. I can burn these calories at a slower pace because
Mhm.
she's just sitting there, and so and then we're eating the same amount but not doing more activity. So those calories start to build. I saw that quickly over um, COVID, being at home and teaching online and sitting there. Oh my goodness.
Oof.
So I don't know who else can bear witness that, but that's sitting around. You better make yourself move every hour, every 2 hours. Get out and do something.
Oh my gosh, I love it. That just made me think of the song. Keep on moving. Keep on keep
Yes.
on moving, you guys. I love it.
Mhm.
So we're getting towards the end of the show, you guys. I just want to say thank you so much, Sister Audrey, for
Yes,
joining
ma'am.
us today to discuss this amazing topic, Mother of Civilization, the
And
great of the woman.
yes,
Did you have
yes. May I share this?
yeah,
If people want to honor a woman, a sister, a wife, a mother, we have honors that will be placed in this book. This was volume 1 of Mothers of Civilization book, and you can honor um, your mother. There's a sister, Shireen, out of Atlanta, honored her mother. Um, there's someone honored one of their friends who's an AKA, one of my sororities, sorors there. So you can honor someone, and this is going to be the largest, it's growing into the largest site of honoring Black and Indigenous women. So it's not just a holiday, but also an opportunity for us to uplift women that we see. Because if not, what images are we seeing?
mm,
When are our children are on the computers anyway? Why can't they Google and look up, oh, look, my grandmother is listed on Mothers of Civilization.org site. So it's called Mothers of Civilization.org, and you can honor someone and have them also play. If you get a gold honor or above, have them placed on the website. It stays up there, and then also in the book. So I think it's just a wonderful opportunity for brothers to do it, for sisters to do it. One, you can get a legacy honor. One sister did put all of her sisters in.
well,
And so all of her sisters were listed in the book, and then you can read about them, their upbringing.
mm,
Because Mother's Day, that doesn't happen. But this is where you can take someone who is a neighbor who maybe didn't have children, but they were a mother to you.
yeah.
They help to pass on. All of us have neighbors or someone at our church or a mosque that always looked out for us. That if we don't give our sisters flowers while they live, who's going to do it?
Whew. Yes, thank you so much for that reminder. I love it. Mother of Civilization Day.org. Correct?
So it's just mother of civilization
Okay.
.org.
Org. I love that. I love that. Let's give each other flowers now. Okay. And
Yes.
Mother's Day is not just a day. It's
Yeah.
every right. So
Yes. Hmm.
how we have Mother of Civilization and you have it, shown in the virtual magazine. Like it's something
Hmm.
that so I love it. Praise be to
Yes.
Allah, Sister Audrey. Again, I just want to say thank you for joining us
Thank
today to
you.
discuss this amazing topic, Mother of Civilization, the great value of the woman. Of course, I would also like to thank my amazing audience and Healing Tribe for joining us today. I pray that this episode was, of course, important and valuable and more so healing to you all. Also, be sure to share, like, follow, and subscribe so you won't miss out on any upcoming episodes on any of your favorite podcast station. Closing the Gap broadcast on YouTube, A Knowledge for Life on YouTube, and of course, Healing with Angelica on Facebook and YouTube to help spread the light of healing to others in need. Also, if you are ready to start your healing journey and don't know where to start, Healing with Angelica is here to assist. Get started on your healing journey today with my one-on-one The Healing Journey program by texting the word READY to 937-313-2466. I would also like to invite you all to our healing circle, a sacred place for us all, men and women, to collectively heal together. We just did our third healing circle this past Sunday, June 1st. So the healing circle is every first of the month. As of right now, we're diving into the topic of the need for change. If you'd like to join this healing circle, just text circle to 937-313-2466. Also, we have our ebook Thrive is now available for purchase. My goal is to get this ebook to over 100 young women and girls before the end of 2025. So if you are ready to learn how to reconnect with self and God, get your copy today by texting the word Thrive to 937-313-2466. And I did want to share this past weekend. Oh my God. By the grace of Allah, Healing with Angelica did her third healing event called Heal, Grow, and Thrive. We went ahead and we incorporated the men within this subject because I also noticed how men are ready to heal, grow, and thrive as well. So I just want to say thank you all who came and showed love and support, as it was such an impactful event. Yes. Now, Sister Audrey, before we end today's show, please leave us with some closing remarks.
Yes, ma'am. There's nothing more powerful than a made-up mind, and that was something that the minister shared. And also in lines, this is something else. I can't remember which lecture, but the importance, it deals with healing. You know, we can never doubt God's ability to bring us out of the worst of circumstances. So if we're dealing with anything, knowing that there is a higher power, and that praying to Master Farad Muhammad, that we can, Allah doesn't put on any of us a duty beyond our scope or burden, that so we want to be able to continue moving, be able to walk up to the store, so to speak, and not have all of these aches and pains. Just continue to love yourself, feed yourself like you love yourself, give yourself the best. And I just want to commend you on the work that you're doing in bringing these powerful messages and discussions that enlighten people each and every time. So just continue honoring yourself, loving yourself, and treating yourself with love and care, because we deserve it. We are reflections of God, and we have to continue to act like that. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, alhamdulillah. Praise be to Allah. Oh my God. Thank you so much again for joining us. This was an impactful topic. We can talk about this all day long, but I know my sister has to go. But again, I want to say so much for all that you do to bring in light of the importance of the woman, right?
And I do have the, if anyone wants to do fitness at home, I do have an ebook, The Sister's Guide to Fitness, that's on sale for $10 now. If they go to virtuetodaymag.com, they can get that ebook sent to them. So once again, thank you, Sister Angelica, and thank you all that tuned in to listen. Continue to listen to her shows every week, and peace and blessings, everyone.
Yes. All praises to Allah. Thank you all for joining us, and we leave you all as we came. Assalamu alaikum. Peace, healing, and light. Welcome to Healing with Angelica.
Thank